There's like a special type of disgust that I feel for people who don't contribute much in taxes, who don't have much of an interest of the ongoings of the country, who don't seem to give a fuck or know much about like the things that they're voting on, but they take advantage of all of the benefits from those systems and then vote down and try to fuck over other people out of it just because they're too lazy to consume something beyond Fox News. Like there's a deep-seated hatred that I have. Hey, I noticed that you really like those GLP-1s. I see you guys are on that diabetic medication. I see that you guys are taking advantage of that newer insulin I see for your diabetes. And I also noticed you guys are literally axing new cancer treatments because it has the spooky abbreviation mRNA in it. And now I have the opportunity to get vengeance on you in whatever way possible. Talk me out of it. What would that voter say to me? I just didn't know. I don't know anything. I have no idea what I'm voting for. I just repost the memes because I think they're epic and base.
That is.
You cannot co-govern with people that don't have the same level of moral agency as you. Those people should be stripped of their vote, maybe citizenship, and put in an island somewhere. You can't operate that way. You don't have agency. When you don't want the responsibility for your actions because you don't have the agency to make the right choice, then you lose your privileges.
I had a couple of questions about your debate that you had on Wick's stream and kind of how it seemed like kind of a pivot. And I just didn't know if you changed your position on how you felt or if you were kind of just trying to not fed post through that whole debate.
What was the whole pivot?
So you had already been talking about like these Nuremberg-esque trials of these people, and that kind of got like when you would talk about it on stream, it would kind of seem like you were saying like these people should be criminally charged, they should be jailed, they should, all this kind of stuff. And then your main point was just that they shouldn't be in office anymore.
Yeah, none of them should be allowed to hold office anymore. 100%, yeah.
And then anybody that did criminal activity should be criminally charged.
Yeah, I guess if there's whatever we can investigate them for, yeah. But the office thing is the big thing, yeah.
Okay. So now I'm going to pivot to a semi-personal thing. So there are talks in the subreddit often of how people feel about Trump voters in general. And so my question to you is, why do you still talk to your parents?
Because they're my parents?
Okay. But you would say that your parents are especially like Trump, like hardcore MAGA, like way deep, right?
Yeah, for sure. With some of the worst excuses for it, yeah.
Okay. So my question to you is, do you think that anybody, like, you've joked in the past about like, these different states, like just take like Wyoming, for example, 70% Trump voters, 30%, other, whether it's Democrat or third party.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that anything anything should happen to like people that are like diehard MAGA people? Not I'm not saying that anything like to your parents or anything, but like, what do you think is like a realistic expectation
like to just like
for these
voters
people
or whatever?
that have, like, yeah.
I don't know if you could punch people for voting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've like said in the past, like if you could, you would like cut federal funding to different places that voted for,
if possible. But I don't think there's a way to do that. But
yeah, well, because my main concern is that a lot of people are like feeling like we need to like hold voters accountable. Like there's ranges of people like that go into like deep conspiracy to people that just like vote Republican down ballot to like maybe people that are like, the like excuser kind of people that are like, well, Trump's rhetoric is obviously, not exactly what I like, but he speaks his mind. There's like varying levels of people that are Republican voters. And a lot of people seem to think that like we should just like cut these people out from society and like they should be held accountable for their votes and things like that. And I don't know, it just seems like a lot of people are like super high, like, I don't know, they're at like a boiling point where they feel like not only do we need to hold Trump and the administration accountable, but we need to hold like anybody that ever showed any amount of support for them accountable, all the way down to like Joe Blow voter. And I'm just curious, like what you think or what you would say to people that tell you that kind of stuff. Like you should cut off your family completely. Nobody that voted for Trump in 2024 can be taken seriously.
Cutting off your family is, that's a different thing for different people. I'm very independent from my family, so like I'm not like reliant on them for anything. I don't have a problem just like standing up for myself when it comes to like fighting with my family over things. But for people whose families like are more controlling or bully the fuck out of them related to political stuff or whatever, I don't know, that conversation might look different. But like my family's also like okay with fighting but my family would never like force an ultimatum on me. But if they did, I would leave in a heartbeat. Like if I was at like Thanksgiving or some shit, and something came up. I don't know how this works in other households, but if people were like, "Oh, well, you're dating this person," or "Oh, like I can't believe you guys believe this. You have to stop posting this, or we're gonna disown you, or whatever," I'd be like, "Okay, peace, see ya." I would just bounce easily. It'd be the easiest bounce in the world. But that's a different. There's a lot of different things. That's one question, but that's a different thing than like the voter accountability. The issue that I have is that I don't like it that we are a part. Okay, first of all, I'll say probably 80% of the population that wants to hold voters accountable on the Republican side are probably just kind of like vindictive and team sportsy. Maybe I grant that much, 80% of them. But I would say that like there is a very real, frustrating, disgusting phenomenon that a lot of these Trump voters are taking advantage of the same systems that they're now trying to destroy. And there's like a special type of disgust that I feel for people who don't contribute much in taxes, who don't have much of an interest of the ongoings of the country, who don't, seem to give a fuck or know much about like the things that they're voting on, but they take advantage of, and they get to take advantage of all of the benefits from those systems and then vote down and try to fuck over other people out of it just because they're too lazy to consume something beyond Fox News. Like there's a deep seated hatred that I have for this type of stuff. The first time I ever felt this was listening to my mom talk about with so much reverence of people who would escape Cuba, and then with so much disdain for people that were fleeing Mexico. And I never got a satisfactory answer. Like, Mom, like what? Like you were always so happy whenever any family or whatever got out of Cuba. What's going on with Mexico? And it's like, well, they should stay and fix their country, Stevie. Like we can't have everybody. And it's like, what the fuck? Like how do you do one or the other? I don't like that. That drives me crazy, and I think it's egregious, disgusting behavior. Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
But what would you say to like the people that are in that like 80% of like they want to hold somebody accountable, and obviously they feel like they can't hold somebody as powerful as Trump or anybody in this administration accountable, so they feel like
what would they say to me?
After,
let's say that my political party takes the majority, and let's say that I have my eyes set on vengeance for the very same reasons that we just said, and they've spent the past 3 decades calling me a communist, a socialist, saying they're trying to trans everybody. Now I'm in power. Well, what would they say to me to convince me otherwise? What is their attempt to try to salvage that conversation?
Well, I'm not saying like somebody that's in power. I'm saying like
no, I'm asking them. I'm asking what should the ordinary voter say to me? Where I'm saying, hey, I noticed that you really like those GLP-1s. I see you guys are on that diabetic medication. I see that you guys are, taking advantage of that newer insulin I see for your diabetes. And I also noticed that you guys are literally axing new cancer treatments because it has the spooky abbreviation mRNA in it. And now I have the opportunity to get vengeance on you in whatever way possible. Talk me out of it. What would that voter say to me? I just didn't know. I don't know anything. I have no idea what I'm voting for. I just repost the memes because I think they're epic and base.
That is honestly probably what most people are low information voters, so they see things like one of the main things that comes up is like people that like, okay, so I've shared this in the subreddit, so I'm not going to be like sharing some crazy story, but like my dad is starting to turn on Trump. Like he's just like a Reagan conservative guy that like talks about lower taxes and all that shit, never like really was like doesn't own any like Trump memorabilia or go into any of that crazy kind of shit.
Sure.
But like one of the things that,
which is, by the way, as hard as it is to believe, is even though it seems impossible, that's probably still the majority of MAGA voters are not like
I would
have
say
all
it's
the
like
merchandise.
At least 70%.
Probably it's at least like 50-60 for sure. Yeah, it's probably the majority of them aren't like, oh, MAGA ride or die Trump or whatever. That's probably the case. I would believe that. Yeah.
So one of the things that's like I just saw him for like our Thanksgiving that we did this last weekend, and like he keeps seeing like ICE videos over and over on like his Facebook feed, and that's what's like causing him the most like frustration, and where he's like not supporting, like he still supports Republican policies, but like doesn't support Trump anymore because my dad was a police officer and he took that shit super seriously, and like he just sees these people like they call that shit like jump out boys, like it's like like
when you're there to just rough some people up, you drive up, you hop out of the car, you beat the shit out of people, arrest some people or whatever, right?
Yeah, and it's fucked up. Like it's the shit that they would like have on like a cop drama, that like anybody that has any sort of law enforcement experience would know that like it's wrong, and it's that's just what's kind of turning my dad. But then you have people that say like, well, what did they think was going to happen? They kept saying like, mass deportations now. And my thought process and like kind of what I'm getting at with this is like a lot of people in this community, I feel like, are very nuanced in like a lot of different things, and they try to get to like the bottom of how and understand how people are thinking and get to these different thought processes. But then they hear it's almost like these like not slogans that we've made up, but like the idea that people would think that mass deportations means that we're going to roll up in like a Toyota Sienna, unmarked completely, and jump out and like attack a fucking landscaper and pull them into the van. Like people use that kind of thing to be like, well, what did they think was going to happen? It's like, well, most of these people probably thought that it was going to be done the correct way. It might have been expedited. It might have been, you know, in some sort of way that is, you know, a little bit out of the norm. But like most people, when they saw mass deportations, they just thought illegal immigrants were going to be deported from the country, not that they were going to be like ripped off the fucking street, you know, with no due process and any of that kind of stuff. So I don't know. The Wick panel kind of like made me think about how people are starting to like be in that 80% of like just wanting to have some sort of vengeance against these people, but they're not understanding that like I would say a majority of people are swayed in some way and aren't fully understanding what it is that's going on. And like at the end of the day, we are going to have to live with these people. Like we joke all the time about like Tim Pool saying civil war and all that kind of stuff. And like, hopefully that shit doesn't happen. But like, if we are going to rebuild the country, it has to be with everybody. And so I don't know, maybe I hate to like chalk up everything to like people are young, but like, that's what it feels like sometimes, is that people have grown up in the era of Trump, and that's like all they know about politics. And so they feel like there's going to be no getting out of this. Whereas I guess I lean more on that, like Trump's probably going to die of natural causes. Nobody is ever going to hurt him because that would be bad. But I don't know. I just think that like the more that people bury themselves in that, I think we're just going to be like in a bad spot. And I just wanted to know what you personally thought about like the people that do want to go after these voters that have supported Trump in whatever varying degree. You know, like obviously, like if somebody's a Jan 6 writer or something, or somebody that's like that extreme, they should be held accountable for that kind of stuff. But like at the end of the day, we do have to realize that like we're in an exceptional place where we understand things a lot more than most other people. But
I guess I just like my issue is, and I don't know what most conservative households are like, but like I grew up in a fairly conservative household. Politically, they were very conservative, and I would say socially, we were quite conservative. And there was just so much I heard from my parents about like personal responsibility, and that ignorance wasn't an excuse for your actions. And what did you think was going to happen if you hang out with these people? What did you think they were going to do? Like, why would you expect anything different? Like, this is why it's important to choose your friends well, or to go to school and not skip class, or don't even smoke a single cigarette, or you know, one weed will take you all the way down to heroin town or whatever. Like, I just heard this stuff over and over and over and over again. And then I see them voting for a guy who you have to do a little bit of mental mind tricks. Even for the average person, you have to do a little bit of mental mind tricks to understand, or I'm sorry, to trick yourself into thinking this guy's not just like a malicious piece of shit. And then when you've gotten to bask in the maliciousness for a decade and to revel in the antagonizing and to revel in like the vitriol and the hatred and the lies, and you've gotten to enjoy that. You've gotten to bust 4,000 nuts on owning the libs, and now when it looks like the power is slipping, well, it doesn't really look like there are so many things that I could quote like right back at least at my conservative parents. Like, it doesn't sound like you're sad that you broke a rule. It sounds like you're sad that you got caught. It doesn't sound like you're asking for genuine forgiveness. It sounds like you just want to escape the consequences of your actions. Like, that's what it sounds like, that they just wanted like a get out of jail free card, but they got to bask in it. And it wasn't like it would be something different if it was like, I sound partisan when I say this, but like Obama and Biden were not like this. I don't remember Obama getting on stage like, yeah, we fucked those conservatives up. We owned them. Like, this just didn't happen. It wasn't there on the other side. But conservatives come at us with all the vengeance that I'm suggesting half of, and then they're acting incredulous over it. I don't understand how that happens. Obama and Biden like I said before, like nobody, it's a joke to even think about the idea that somebody's committing a terrorist attack with a Biden sticker inside their locker. But for some reason, we're supposed to believe these were the evilest, most vitriolic politicians ever. And that's why conservatives are so incensed. And they got to hype themselves up on that shit for a decade. And now they're like, ooh, maybe we were actually wrong the whole time. And not for like super mysterious, like this guy hoodwinked us, but like we did vote for the grab him by the pussy guy, the guy who made fun of McCain for, you know, being a fucking war hero, the guy who had nicknames for all of his opponents, who cheated on his wives. Like, how many times have I heard from my parents, like, moral character is indicative of your equality as a leader? How are you going to take advice from somebody who can't manage his own household? How could you trust somebody who cheats on 1, 2, 3 wives? Like, I've heard all these things over and over again, but somehow none of it applies to them in the most detached manner possible. What am I even saying, like, who's your personal friend, who you vote for? It makes it really hard. That's why I'm asking, like, what would they say to me? It convinced me that I should give a fuck about what you're saying, because they'll throw that same thing back at people who are in infinitely worse positions. Like, what am I saying? Like, maybe you guys should have a reduction in Medicaid, you know? And they're like, oh my God, that's horrible. Meanwhile, they're like, maybe you should have your entire family uprooted and sent to a concentration camp in El Salvador, because who knows what you were or weren't up to, and there's no due process for you. Like, how am I supposed to have sympathy for the other side? How would they convince me of that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that you have to have sympathies for them, and
No,
that's
no,
what,
no.
like,
You keep saying I'm not
like,
saying. I'm saying if I was in front of that voter and I would say, convince me. What could they possibly say? What would they say? What would they say?
Obama.
That's where it's true. I mean, I don't know. My family isn't like that, so I don't interact with people that are like that, you know, deep into it. Like, if any interaction I have with those kind of people is like at work, and I just ignore that kind of talk. So I don't personally interact with those kind of people to where they've been like fully in support of that kind of stuff. And like, I would imagine they would have nothing to say to you, because that's generally what happens is when something goes wrong, we, like, from a moral standpoint, are better people, and we eat shit like consistently, like every single time. And I don't think that that's necessarily like right, in that we always have to be the bigger person, but like ultimately for the sake of whatever, like the country, we kind of have to do that every single time.
Or we don't, or we could start levying consequences.
Yeah, but that's where, like, I agree with you when it comes to like people in power, which I don't even fully agree with like your sentiment on, like, I think if people start turning on Trump right now, like, there should be like a grace period right now. Like, we should be trying to get people to turn on Trump. Like,
I think the grace period was
Congress.
January 7th in 2021. Like,
I mean,
how can there be a grace period now? This is his last election. He can't even run again.
Because he still has 3 more years. And if there's people that want to actively work against him, that even if they've supported him, you know, up until this point, you know, it's like we're in a movie, and as of right now, there was a bad guy who's, you know, gonna help us with something, and we're like, oh, well, actually, you're a bad guy, and I'm actually not gonna let you help me out. You know, like, I just feel like we're in the position to where, like, ultimately, if we don't accept people that are like starting to make change and like disavow Trump, like, even if they're terrible fucking people, like, I'm not saying that we need to, like...
Yeah, but I feel like if we think like media for bad guys that turn, aren't these guys usually the ones in media that end up paying like the ultimate price anyway? What was the name of or was it Landu in Guardians of the Galaxy 2? Like, he ends up dying at the end, but he tries to help us, and he tries to do the right thing at the end. Or what was the name of the guy who got tempted by the ring in Lord of the Rings, who get the guy, Sean Bean's character, they get shot and killed by the arrows, and
like Boromir?
Sure. He's not like a bad guy turn good, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I don't know if there's any mainstream media, or not mainstream media. I don't know if there's any like common media art where like there's a super bad guy the whole time, and then he just like turns good and all is forgiven instantly. Like, usually there's some like contrition or repentance or something has to happen there.
Yeah, it's not like the person says, well, now Trump's bad, and we flip the switch and like everything's okay. I'm just saying, like, we have to take that and build off of it and see if there's the unfortunate part is anybody that's ever spoken out against Trump and like gone against Trump just resigns, and they stop being in politics. And I mean, ultimately, if that's what it is that it takes, and these people start to turn on Trump and then they just never go into politics again, you know, historically, well, over the last 10 years, his candidates don't win. The people with his positions don't win. he is exceptional in that he can act the way that he acts and get elected. It's kind of like the Squad was like a one-off thing for lefties. Like most people can't do that. So if we can get these people to turn on Trump and they resign and do all that kind of stuff, is that not just
what's the
basically
lesson?
what you're...
But what's the lesson they're learning? Is to turn on Trump once he's lost his popularity?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, what more do you think you can get out of like a Congress person? You're not going to get...
I can expect leadership. I expect leadership, or at the very least, some moral fabric to the party, or some moral fabric to the voter base. At least, I think that's a bare minimum expectation. Like Trump didn't have to win the primary in 2024. Like they had Nikki Haley, they had DeSantis. Maybe they're not the best candidates, but morally and in terms of how they would govern, I'm superior to Trump for sure. DeSantis would have been.
They should have Bernied Trump in 2024.
No, I'm not saying they should have. I'm talking about the voters. I'm saying the voters chose Trump. Yeah, and it's just there's a deal with the devil type of thing you can do where you're just like you're kind of sort of having to work with a guy, and it's like, oh, okay, but then there's like you're reveling in it. Right? Like, it's like the whole thing where I would talk to these epic centrists and I'd be like, well, who did you vote for? And they're like, it was rough, but like, I had to side with Trump. And it's like, oh, okay. And when I open their Twitter feed, it's not like, we need to make the best of the Trump admin, blah, blah. It's like, oh my God, epic fucking lib tears, Trump forever, Trump, hashtag anal my wife, Trump the best person ever. Oh my God, I love, like, Trump presidency, epic, let's go, guys. It's like, okay, what the fuck? It's not like a regretful vote that you had to do. It was like, you super love it. And I understand the average voter is not maybe that gung-ho about it, but like, damn, again, like the conservative parent words come back. You are who you hang around, garbage in, garbage out. Like I heard so many of these things growing up, and now they want you to just be able to walk away scot-free. That's just crazy to me.
But that's where I think just being realistic in your thought process of it, especially when it comes to like the average voter that voted for Trump, like you're not going to get anything, and you just kind of have to be okay with not getting a single thing from these people.
But then let's say the next time a Trump-like figure comes up, in their mind, in my world, maybe they're thinking like, oof, the last time we did this didn't work out too well for us. But in your world, it's like, you know what? I think we can hop on this ride again and see how it goes. And if it's fucked, the Democrats will just bail us out and govern the country again back to normal. Why would I want to have the latter impression in their minds when we could implant the former now?
Because I think that regardless of who comes up next in the Republican Party, most of these voters are just going to vote for that person. They're not voting for them because of, these extreme policies and things like that. They're just voting. Most people are just voting for the party.
Well, what about the primaries? People voted for Trump the second and third time.
But that's where,
yeah, why are you giving people the benefit of the doubt when, like, if you voted for Trump in 2024, you voted for the guy who did J6?
Well, most people don't have any idea about anything related to that. But I'm just saying...
They never released the video, so they never learned.
True.
But they should have.
I agree with you, ZipZip. They should have, but they didn't. And so that's...
Like, ignorance isn't a fucking, like, excuse, right?
I guess the other issue that I have is that...
for most things, yeah.
The other issue I have is that, like, you're always pairing rights with responsibilities. Like, agency is rewarded with freedom. And when you start to lack this agency, then rightfully so, the freedom is taken from you, right? Children aren't allowed to participate in society in a lot of ways, but they're also free of a lot of the consequences of their actions. They're children, right? But then as you get older, as you gain more rights, you also have more responsibilities. Like these things are always necessarily paired with each other, hand in hand. And the idea of allowing somebody to have the right to vote in an election and say, this is who I want my leader to be, and then to release them of all the consequences of that awesome choice, the ability to do that, is like, well, what are we even doing here? It's barely a democracy at this point. Nobody's taking their vote seriously.
I don't disagree with you that, like, if there was some ideal way to surgically cut some sort of, like learning mechanism for these people, that we shouldn't do it. It's just nearly impossible. And so I think that it's like just as much of like a pipe dream as like somebody thinking that America is going to eventually go into like a communist utopia. There's just certain things that will just never happen in this country. And one of the things is going to be some sort of, whether it's like civic, I mean, we could change things for future generations and like require like civic education to be, 10 times better than it is. But for the most part, we're going to have to just wait for boomers to die out because they're a majority of what the problem is.
I don't know if I
And
agree
then
with that.
from
If they're
there-
just if it's just a boomer problem, I don't know why we wouldn't expect this to flow down to every other generation.
Well, as far as like just voting down ballot every
Yeah,
time.
down ballot voting is always a common thing. But I just mean in terms of being okay with Trump's moral character. I think it's a lot.
Well, how do you? Well, no, that's what I'm saying is that you're going to have people that will always vote down ballot for Republican that are older. That those kind of people, the people that are older, are most of the time people that just vote for the party, whereas like
The old
younger
people.
voters over the what?
If it's the old people, and that's fine. Just let Trump keep cutting Medicare and Medicaid, and just
But they don't cut it. They don't cut Medicaid from the poor people that don't vote.
True.
Well, but when they cut
wanted
Medicaid,
to.
they seriously harm Medicare recipients because a lot of Medicare recipients
Yep.
also receive Medicaid. But like, that's where, to me, those people dying off is going to probably be our saving grace in, I don't know, 15, 20 years. But until then, younger voters they're not as like partisan, I guess, in their voting.
They might not be right now, but I think as they get older, they will. I think it's the tend of people, or they tend in that direction. I guess. So my question would be: so ideally, then, what do you think should be done?
Like consequence wise, or what
Yeah.
should we be pushing to do? I think just as cooked as it is, we kind of just have to let it happen. So we just have to be better. Like the unfortunate thing is that we have 3 more years of this, but
Sure. So let's okay, sure, I got you. Okay. So let's say that we do that, okay? And then let's say that the next Trump-like figure starts to come up again in the Republican Party. And imagine you're a Republican. Why would you not just vote for that guy again and roll the dice again on it, knowing that there's always going to be...
I personally don't think that there's going to be another Trump-like figure.
Why? Hasn't the Republican Party just been like trending in this direction for the past few decades?
Also, you're just hoping. Like, it's just
no, I'm not.
You're just betting that it won't happen. There's always a chance.
I'm betting that it won't happen because most people that are Trump-like, in like if you're talking about like MAGA candidates, don't do as well as their more moderate counterparts.
And I think that somebody who is able to like reincarnate fucking Trump and get the same fucking level of charisma, whatever support that gets him.
I don't think that that's going to happen. That's why, like, when you look around the world and you have people like Farage in the UK, like, there's a reason why that guy sticks around with
correct.
like.
It hasn't happened yet. That's why it's not.
Well, no, it's not even about happening yet. I'm just looking at I'm just looking at the direction that things are trending in, and it seems like the whole Conservative Party is kind of trending in that direction. So I don't know why I would expect it to reverse course. Like, the Supreme Court is going to be conservative for a long time. They got to have their 2 full terms of Trump and all the fun that came along with that, and their congressional majorities. They won their first popular vote in a long time. Like, and then at the end of it all, Democrats will go back and fix the country again, just like Biden did after Trump handed him off the COVID disaster, just like Obama did after Bush handed him off the housing crisis disaster. So if the continues to trend in this direction, like I don't see why that would stop. Why wouldn't, if you were conservative, why wouldn't you just vote for the same type of candidate again in the future? I just don't know why you wouldn't do that. It seems like so obvious that you should do that. Like, all of the incentive is there for it.
Because personally, I don't think that there's, and I mean, you could have some hypothetical person, but I just think that realistically, most conservatives wouldn't do the shit that Trump is doing. So like, when you take the tariffs, for example, even if somebody thinks that tariffs are a decent way to do things, they wouldn't do it in the way that Trump is doing it. Like, we could, and I've heard you say it in the past, like, tariffs aren't necessarily a bad thing. You can do them in a way that is beneficial to your domestic manufacturing or whatever it might be that you're trying to target. But Trump does it in such like he's just like throwing shit at the wall and hoping that a deal comes out of it or whatever it is that he's trying to get. I just don't think that anybody is that insane to where they would do it. Like, even if like Speaker Johnson was the president.
So, like, in 2015, you thought that too, and then here's Trump. Like, just because you think it's unlikely, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Or couldn't happen.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, can you tell me somebody who is the next closest person to Trump right now?
Why should I have to show you that?
Wait, like the next
MTG?
politician would be Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Because,
yeah, MTG.
Okay. And do you think that Marjorie Taylor Greene has nationwide appeal to the level that Trump does?
What if she got it? She could.
Not right now, but she might in the future.
But she also couldn't. Don't hypothetical me into a fucking corner to where you say, well, yeah, but it could happen. It could happen. It could happen.
Your hypothetical is, I just don't think it's gonna happen. I'm saying
because historically,
there's always a chance, so you should be prepared for that shit, and your fucking whatever you do right now should prepare you for the hypothetical future where that would happen.
Okay, well, let's just take the 2024 candidates, for example. Do you think Ron DeSantis would be doing as much as Trump is doing? Ron DeSantis, as much as he's like a deflated balloon at this point, is the closest thing that people thought could replace Trump in that weird couple of years, right?
Yeah, but we saw the Conservative Party doesn't have an appetite for somebody like DeSantis. They want somebody more brutal, more evil, more malicious, more vindictive.
No, they wanted Trump,
who was
somebody who is more malicious, more vindictive, more like.
But that's I guess what I'm saying is that
also DeSantis is a piece of shit. I don't know why you're like, he's not like so much better than
because yes,
Trump.
he's
DeSantis is way better than Trump.
DeSantis is
better, but that doesn't mean.
No, it is like it is almost like you cannot compare the two. I think if realistically that DeSantis made it into office, we would have problems like any Republican administration has problems, but it would not be anywhere near this. And so what I'm saying is I am going to point towards Trump being the exception, and that plays out in whether it's congressional seats or even governors. You know, like DeSantis is probably the closest person to a Trump-like figure that's a governor, or Abbott, I guess. But like, I feel like we aren't taking.
Why does it have to be somebody that's like already in existence? What if it's somebody that just comes out of nowhere? Like Trump wasn't in fucking politics beforehand. Why couldn't it be just
when's the last Republican president that came out of nowhere?
Trump?
Before Trump was in politics, he was a random celebrity.
He came out of nowhere politically, no?
He was a celebrity. He wasn't in politics.
He was not.
Why are you assuming that it has to be like a governor or like anybody? It could be fucking whatever random celebrity. Turn on the TV. What if that guy became the next Trump?
That's what I'm saying. As much as you're asking me this hypothetical, I'm just asking you, give me a person that realistically fits that description.
It could happen. Why are you talking about realistically?
Because we could also die in a nuclear holocaust today, dude. Like
do you think it's realistic or not realistic that Trump became the president in 2016?
It was realistic.
Okay, then why do you think it's not realistic that any other random celebrity could come onto the politics scene and then be as fucking insane as Trump is and become president?
I'm not saying that somebody that is
it wasn't just like a random fluke. Like it could happen again. History repeats, bro. That's the whole fucking meme.
It very much could happen again. But
okay, so it could.
Yeah, no, I never said that it couldn't. I'm saying that you are.
You're not baking in to like. You're not taking into account the possibility that it could happen in your current actions, suggestions.
And you're taking into account that
you would never behave like that in any case. Like, oh, I just don't think it's going to happen, so I just won't prepare for that.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't prepare for that. We should prepare for what is the most likely scenario to happen. Do you think it's more or less likely that the Republican Party moderates after Trump, or do you think it's more likely that somebody as extreme as Trump comes in?
Depends what Democrats do. Depends why he falls out of favor. It depends on a million factors. Trump could fucking like leave office or whatever. Just say it's like just regularly leaves office, and then the next person's even crazier. Why would you not think that that's possible?
I'm not saying that it's not possible. I asked you, what is more likely? Somebody that is going to be more moderate or just as extreme?
Why does it matter which one's more likely?
Because if we're planning for the future...
If I go camping and it's a 99% chance that it's going to be fucking sunny, I'm probably still taking a tent and like a tarp. Say, ignore the 99% thing. Let's say it's like 75 or whatever. You're probably still taking a tarp. You prepare for the worst case scenario.
You're probably going to bring your tent. You're probably going to bring your tarp. You're not going to bring all of your Gore-Tex gear. You're not going to bring all of the shit that you would, knowing that it was a torrential downpour. What I'm saying is that people are acting as if the torrential downpour is the most likely thing to happen when it is a 99% chance of sun. So why are we placing all of our eggs in the basket that we need to figure out a way to get vengeance or a way to correct the mistake that was made when the likelihood of it being made again in the next couple of election cycles is so low?
Because even though, if you want to say it's unlikely, the amount of damage that can be done is incredibly high.
True.
That's why you need to fucking take that into account very, very heavily. You need to make sure that you can correct this shit. Otherwise, this amount of damage, or worse, could be happening again.
I never said that it couldn't. It's just more likely that anybody else in... What do you mean so?
Why does it matter if it's more likely?
Because my whole thought process is that Trump is an exceptional person and is willing to do things that other people are not willing to do. And people are willing to follow Trump because of the stranglehold that Trump has on people.
There can be other exceptional people besides Trump.
There can be. You're correct.
There have been other dictators in history. There have been other narcissistic people who end up being leaders. There have been other, fucking fascistic leaders. Like, I don't know why you think this is not some fucking like, oh, 1 in 100 chance. Like, no, it's
because if your entire worldview is based around the worst case scenario of anything that can happen, like, there's a reason why, like, people, and I originally came in here because of things that are happening in the subreddit. There's reason why people make posts in the subreddit that are like, I'm so depressed, I can't get through like all of this different shit because of the political atmosphere. And so instead of like doomsday scenarioing everything that we do in politics, we should be thinking about...
To be clear, the people are depressed because of the reality of what's happening. Yeah. Like, it's not because of the future hypotheticals, it's the fact that like we are watching like the fucking of a great empire for literally no reason whatsoever, and half the country seems to be cheering it on. I think that's where the depression comes from. You can lie about it and make people not depressed, but I mean, like, I don't think that's necessarily the way to go.
Yeah. Also, like, the solution to that isn't then don't doomsday. It encourage people to, despite the fact that they believe whatever the fuck is possible, don't be a doomer about it. Fucking, keep some hope alive. Do what you can, like shit like that.
Sure, but
if someone's fucking like if someone's grieving their fucking parents' death, you wouldn't cheer that person up by saying, just like imagine if it was like 5 months ago when your dad wasn't dead. No, you would say, hey, you need to keep going, keep moving.
Sure. Do you think that in this whole conversation, what I've been saying is that people shouldn't be worried about this happening again?
No.
Okay. What do you think?
When you're asking Destiny, like, oh, since you're worried about this, what do you think you should do? And Destiny says, oh, because I think this is sufficiently important, such that X, Y, Y, I think we should do Z. And then you're like, no, but like, what if X doesn't happen?
No, I started this conversation because people are saying that we should hold voters accountable. The issue is that it's not a realistic thing that can happen. It's also not realistic that we're going to remove everybody from Congress that ever voted with Trump or supported Trump. So we need to have realistic conversations about what it is that we're going to do next. And the idea...
Wait. Why do you think getting every Trump-supporting congressperson out of office is unrealistic?
Out of office in a way that, like, if there's 100 of them in office and we're going to remove them all simultaneously... Why do I think that's unrealistic?
If you have enough,
is that what you're asking?
The majority in either half of Congress, you can just impeach all those fuckers.
Can you? Do you know that?
Yes, that's how it works. Impeachments
for senators.
Yeah, the senators can impeach their own. Yeah.
Okay. And
then they would be out of office.
Okay. And so I'm asking you, just based on people saying that they like John Thune. Do you know much about John Thune?
I know some.
Okay. Do you think that people are going to vote to impeach John Thune from the Senate?
Who's people?
With him having support the senators,
the hypothetical,
the other senators,
whatever the fuck you want to like, whatever the fuck the hypothetical is, where Destiny's saying this is what should happen. It's a hypothetical where the Democrats have control of Congress, because it's like the whole conversation around
like a supermajority,
right?
Like
the hypothetical. No, you don't need a supermajority to impeachment. But
how many votes do you need?
The majority, you only need to get so many Republican senators, and in theory, enough of them, after seeing an insane blowout in midterms, would be enough to flip.
Yep. Do you think that's a realistic thing that's actually going to happen?
I would like for it to happen.
Let's say you impeach
I think it's
5 Senate. Let's say it was a 60-40 split in the Senate.
Yep.
Okay. And we vote to impeach Ted Cruz and 4 others. Okay.
Sure.
After that, do you think we're going to continue to be able to impeach the other 40 or the remaining of the 40? Or do you think that at a certain point,
if you were able to do, because it's a vote, right? If you're able to do one, you're able to do any of the others, unless you're suggesting that the people would defect, in which case, like, the more people that you start impeaching, the more those are, okay, this person's out of office, so there's going to be a special election to fill their seat, and depending on how we got to that point, right? However we get to the point of having enough Democrats to do impeachments, that'll be like those quote-unquote blue wave, right? So whatever special elections happen to fill those seats, you have a chance of getting more Dems on your side that will, keep voting to get rid of the rest of them, even if you have defectors on your side.
Do you think this is a realistic thing to put any energy into?
Yep.
I mean,
Really?
I don't know. That's a separate question, though, right? I don't know if realistically you get it done. I just think that
because my whole point is that people are clinging to these things that are never going to happen. So that's why I said earlier, like, instead of like pushing away the people that are starting to turn on Trump now, we shouldn't like forgive them for all their sins, but like we should be pushing for people to do that. Because I think that, and you said it recently, that most politicians want to continue to be politicians, right? Like that's their main goal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
right?
You want to just let them like, oh, my bad, I'm just a little guy, sorry, and that's what you're okay with that?
Are we talking about in the real world, or are we like, the thing is I don't know if you're talking about stuff that is likely to happen. I think it is very unlikely that we could remove more than I'll give you 5. I would say maybe we can remove 5 senators from office.
Once you remove 5 senators, that's, let's say you remove 5. Let's say that gets you 2 extra Dem senators. Now you have more chances to get even more out, right?
I don't personally. I don't think so. And so I guess my next question would be: is if you're removing these people for supporting Trump, right? That's your main reason for wanting to remove them.
Yep.
Sure. And their
so what's
actions
your
and support, like not just supporting them, but the actions that they've taken and like voting with his shit and whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so what if somebody like Carrie Lake is then up for election and they win that election? This is a person that's a diehard Trump supporter but never held office.
What do you think I'm going to say?
That's what I'm asking you.
The second she's about to get sworn, the second she gets sworn in, boom, doing impeachment on her. Get the fuck out.
Do you not see any issue with what you're talking about?
Yeah, I could foresee many issues that could happen.
Do you think that those issues are going to put us in a better spot than we're at right now, or a worse spot?
Better spot how? For who? For what?
Like let's say Newsom wins in 2028. We have a 60-seat Senate.
Okay.
And you are now, what little power Republicans have, or representation that Republicans have, you start going after them in a way that has never happened before. What do you think that's going to put, as far as like Trump is obviously causing a lot of issues? Do you think that it is going to put us in a better spot to start these fights in the Senate or whatever it might be?
Yes, because we just saw a blue wave a few weeks ago in the insane elections. There's going to be another blue wave for midterms.
I agree.
Or at least live under the hypothetical that there is a massive blue wave in the midterms.
Okay, and I don't disagree with pushing for people to vote for Democrats. What I'm asking you is,
there's an insane blue wave in 2026, and then another insane blue wave in 2028, and you have 60 or more Dems in office, and then however many in House of Representatives. Why would you not?
I'm curious, could Trump go too far? Let's say Trump tomorrow orders the assassination of 5 senators or congressmen or whatever. Could Trump ever go too far, or is your answer always the same on this?
Well, I think that okay, this is where, like, every time I try to have these conversations, people think that I'm like trying to like let Trump go on things. That's like a super crazy scenario that he should be held accountable for.
Okay, yeah.
No, but I'm saying, like, let's say that he does this, but like he doesn't get impeached by the current Republican Congress. Do you think that then we should never let any of these people hold office again, or?
I think. Wait, so you're saying Trump assassinates 5 people,
Or he orders it.
and it goes far enough into an impeachment to where now Republicans are saying, actually, that's not a bad thing.
Or
And
they're just
so
saying they would
all
never
of
say
them-
that. They would say we don't have the authority to impeach him. We don't think this is impeachable. We think it was within his legal authority. Should be challenged at the Supreme Court. They would say something else, but
Okay, I would say that you have an exceptional reason to go about what it is that you're talking about for simple support of what Trump or I guess lack of pushback is what a majority of Congress is doing.
So then what is
So
I
I would
guess
say-
how far are we from that point? Because when I look at him bragging about openly murdering Venezuelans, or making death threats right now about how people should be tried and hung for treason, or this is the type of stuff, the fabricated indictments from a bullshit prosecutor against his political enemies from 10 years ago. These are all things that in my mind have pushed us very, very, very close to that line.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that, but what I'm saying is that is very different than Trump ordering the assassination of people. You have
I think it's a lot closer to Trump ordering the
wait.
I think it's closer to Trump ordering the assassination of people than anything Biden did. I think if you have a president who's ordering assassinations, and no, I'm saying if you have a president that's ordering assassinations, you have Joe Biden, and then you have Donald Trump, that if we were to put Donald Trump on a scale, he's way closer to the president ordering assassinations than he is to Joe Biden.
Also, just to be clear on what's being talked about, Trump is ordering assainations, right?
Stop. No, stop. Of domestic U.S. citizens. We're talking about U.S. citizens, yeah.
Yeah, you mean a politician, yeah. What about Obama, Destiny?
I don't disagree with you that Trump is bad. What
I
I'm
didn't
saying
say Trump is bad.
that
I'm saying
not
that I just don't know what the line is, because Ezra Klein made his video, because everybody's been wondering what's the line, and Ezra Klein made his video saying the time has come or the crisis is here 7 months ago, I think. But it seems like we're just letting it go further and further and further and further. And I don't know when the time actually comes, if he does order a political assassination, I don't know if anybody's going to be pushing back on it. Because again, it's not going to be he assassinated opponent. It's going to be well, he has the lawful authority to command the military, to engage in these things. And Obama assassinated a U.S. citizen overseas. And so that should be challenged in the courts.
Already literally let him, literally implicitly said that he's allowed to do that.
Well, maybe.
By refusing to address the hypothetical in the fucking immunity thing, right? That was literally the hypothetical presented, and they just ignored that in their fucking opinion.
Sure. I just don't know. I guess you understand that it feels bad that on our side, the best and brightest that the conservatives have to offer, Ben Shapiro says that the turning point for Obama was him saying that Trayvon Martin looks like us, like black people, and that the Cambridge police...
They're morally not... They're lesser. They don't have the same morals that we do. So, but at the end of the day, I have a hard time because I watch a lot of political stuff. I watch a lot of C-SPAN. I watch a lot of senators talk about different things. And I think that a reason why a majority of Republicans aren't pushing back on Trump is because of the way that they can fall back on different things. The reason that people didn't push back against Comey is because people that have any idea of what is going on know that that's probably not going to go anywhere. So why not lose political capital amongst your base and just let it happen when you know that the end result is going to be what it was?
Yeah, but can you think of any other time in life or any other circumstances in life where you would share a leadership role with somebody who doesn't have the same moral accountability that you do? Because I feel
not. I mean,
because I feel in every area in life, if that were to be the case, you would demote that person. You would never co-lead a thing where your co-leader can fuck up and make mistakes, but you both get paid the same, have the same role. Yeah.
Okay, let's just take the worst Republican senator ever, whoever it is. Okay, the person that backs Trump the most and does all of the things, says that, Comey should be prosecuted. He supports every single thing that Trump does. Okay. What if that person says at the end of it all, Trump keels over from a heart attack, and that day he's like, oh, thank God Trump is gone. I was worried about speaking out against him because my family was going to be killed, because I've already any minor pushback that I've even said where, oh, well, he didn't really mean that. My family got death threats and all these kind of things, so I was afraid to stand out against them. What do you say to those people because it's not an unrealistic thing that like a lot of these people are probably honestly scared of the consequences, and I know that they should rise to the occasion. Like that's literally what they're supposed to be doing. They talk about like the founding fathers and all these kind of things.
No, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
There's
but
a really
then,
easy
no,
answer.
sorry, no.
The answer is
the answer is
like you can't just say I was just following orders.
No.
That's the answer.
Well, so the answer is that that's fine. I accept that. I understand that. But you can't hold office again. I can't trust you, right? If you're telling me that some amount of threat or pressure was able to compromise your decision-making ability, and when America needed you most, you were unable to rise to the occasion, then that's fine. I understand that. I'm not saying you should go to jail, but you're never holding office again. You're not even allowed to, because this is your constitutional duty. How could you ever trust a person like that? This is like a significant other saying, "Oh, I only cheated on you because I got really drunk, but I'm still going to keep drinking." It's like, okay, that's fine, but like we're breaking up. Like I can't. Why would I trust you to go drinking again if that was your excuse for cheating on me? Like I can't do it. How would you ever trust somebody like that in office again? Why should that person be allowed to hold office again?
They felt really bad, Destiny.
What?
But
They felt really bad.
Oh,
well, no, it's just I just don't think that you have the political capital to do what it
this
is
is a
that you're
different
wanting
argument, and
to
I agree
do.
with you here. This is a different argument, though. But
So-
politically,
so-
I don't think it's necessarily possible. But I mean, I would.
Well,
Push it,
well
you know?
then, okay. If we're gonna just say then those people shouldn't be able to hold office. I'll
Thanks.
just go with every single hypothetical that you guys have said. I understand, but it's not my question, Zip. That's the thing is I'm trying to live in the world that is realistic of what it is that we are actually going to be able to accomplish, because I don't want to waste my fucking time in some dreamland where these people are never going to hold office again and all that. I want to talk about what are we going to do when Trump does die and these people say, oh man, I wanted to speak out against him, but I was afraid. What are we going to say in that point? We can't say, oh, well, you're never going to hold office again. We don't have the political capital to do it. So why would we talk about it?
I don't know if you.
That's what I'm saying. We can dance amongst the fairies.
Wait. One, I don't know if we would have the political capital, and I don't really know. I don't know if anybody would have the capital. But at the very least, I would push on this to plant the seeds, because if it comes up again in the future, I want the idea to already be there. So rather than us having a novel conversation, so then I would push for it right now. And then if it's not enough and people don't want to do whatever, that's fine. But if this comes up again, they're like, well, last time we talked about this and people weren't as warm to it, but it seems like it's coming up again, and maybe we should actually consider this. So I would push on it early and hopefully plant the seeds. And if it comes up again, then it would be grown a bit and people would be more receptive to it.
And I agree with you on that.
But keep in mind that when Trump ran initially,
and
Trump was a 1% candidate, right? This guy was a literal joke. Nobody thought he'd get anywhere, and he took over the whole Republican Party, right?
Sure.
So the answer, Hobbitfollower, in 2028, when great leader Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris or whoever it is, let's say there's 55 Dem senators, and they're pushing
they should push for reforms that hinder or
besides, okay, so they're pushing for that, and also they say, and also you should start impeaching all these MAGA senators and congresspeople. You're gonna say, yeah, you should push for that, or are you gonna say, no? What if they feel really bad now?
They can push for whatever it is that they want to push for, and that's fine. But I do not believe that the political capital will be there, so I don't see any reason. We can talk about it all we want, and we can say, hey, Gavin Newsom can get up and have a speech about like holding people accountable for their inaction, and that's fine. But what are we going to do when that doesn't have popularity? Like why?
But we're talking about this also.
Okay, but
we can talk about multiple things.
Okay, but again, I think that to use your example of bringing stuff in case it rains is fine, but you're not going to be putting all of your rain gear into your camping equipment. That's just not what you're going to do. You're going to be covering all the things that you know that you can accomplish while you're there. And so we can push for political reforms, and we should. We should push for various things that have caused the issues that we're seeing right now. Whether it's reforms to, how our voting works in the House to where people don't have to do it. Like, I don't know if people know how exceptional the discharge petition was for the Epstein stuff, but like that is an exceptional thing that happened. And so, but should we have a system where people can have something that maybe a majority of people would vote for, but they're not willing to go through these steps like a discharge petition to get it to the floor? Should the leader of the House of Representatives have as much power over bills being brought to the floor? We can talk about the different things that could could have stopped or changed or done these things. Like maybe we pass a law that says that you can't say that, the next 9 months is one day on the calendar, like to avoid having to talk about Trump's tariffs. Like that's realistic things to be talking about and things that we should be talking about. Do you agree that that is probably a more important thing to talk about?
No, I disagree. I think the focus on rules and
can't talk about
laws.
what
I think the
happens if we
focus
have
on. I think the focus on rules and laws is irrelevant. I think the rules and laws are in place. I think everybody knows how to navigate these things appropriately. I don't think you can craft a rule system for rule breakers. I don't think that matters at all. I think the issue is the thing that I said before that I got mega canceled for. So let me be very careful how I phrase this. But the problem is that when Republicans are operating in their legal and extra legal areas, they are operating fearlessly with the understanding that no matter how crazy they are, no matter what they do, no matter what road they go down, the Democrats will always be there to walk them out of the scary forest at the end back into the sunlight, where they can figure out their next devious little plot, where every single time we have some issue come up, it's like we're in Rurouni Kenshin, where the good guy refuses to finish off the bad guy, or Batman, where the Republican Party keeps getting sent back to Arkham Asylum over and over and over again, and then they break out, and then we have another season of the wacky Republican antics, and there's just no reason for them to change their behavior when they're just going to do it over and over and over and over again with absolutely no consequences. And I don't know why we would expect that to ever change.
You drive crazy. Have you ever hydroplaned like in a big way in your car?
Yep.
So when it rains now, and I mean in Florida it rains crazy, do you drive the same way as when you hydroplaned that one day and lost control of your vehicle?
When I was like 16, no, I drive like a pussy in snow or rain.
Okay. What is the chance of this being a hydroplane situation where people are doing reckless things and they're hydroplaning right now? And if they make it out at the end of the tunnel, they're probably not going to do that again because of how lucky they got.
I mean, if you want to stretch this analogy, I would say that what we're hydroplaning is the disaster scenario. I was in the car when somebody had an accident who was driving a stupid fucking crossover hybrid. It wasn't quite a Jeep, but it was some Jeep-like thing. And in the United States, for some reason, or at least in the Midwest, we don't use snow tires. We just have four-wheel drive, and some people think that four-wheel
tires.
Okay, well, they're very good.
I'm kidding.
Sure.
I'm kidding.
Some people think that four-wheel drive is a substitute for snow tires. The reality is that four-wheel drive makes basically no difference when navigating super snowy terrain. But a person that I was driving with thought that it did, and they drove like a fucking lunatic, and they slid into the car in front of them when they tried to park. We made it all the way back to the house, and they slid into the car in front of them when they tried to slam their brakes too much because they weren't driving carefully, because they felt like they had that four-wheel drive that was always going to save them, and it didn't. I feel like that's more the situation we're in, akin to anything else, is that somebody knows that they have some system that they think will always save them until it doesn't, and then shit is fucked. But they have to be allowed to crash in order to learn that lesson, I guess.
And you don't think that this is the crash that's happening right now, as far as
what's the crash? They've gotten every single thing they've wanted. They've got to celebrate for a decade with all the memery, the awesomeness, the tariffs, the owning the libsness. Like, they've gotten everything.
Or that's the driving crazy until you pulled into the driveway.
In the analogy, the crash is you don't get to hold office anymore, or for the people who are committing crimes, you are going to be fucking convicted for your crimes. That's the crash. Right now, they're just driving in the fucking shit conditions.
I mean, now I agree with you that if we could do everything that we possibly could with no repercussions, and everybody agreed with us, and we could do everything that we want to do, and I agree with all of that. The problem is,
agree.
Okay.
If we had the political capital to do it, if we had enough people in Congress to do it, then you do it.
Do you think it's above or below a 50%? Like, what would you put the percentage chance that that's going to happen?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
What you're putting an awful lot of energy into drilling in this point. I'm asking you what realistically the percentage is that you think it's going to happen.
I don't care what the percentage is, okay? Because all my actions leading up to 2026 and 2028 are going to be get as many Dem senators as you can into office, get as many Democratic Congress people into office as possible. Like, make sure the Democratic president is a president, right? The president is a Democrat. So I'm going to be prepared for, let's say Dems win maximally, and you get all of this shit. You got to be ready for it. And that's what you should do.
But I think that's just, I don't know. I could say it a million times, but I don't know how to get across that there's a certain point in anything that you deal with in life that you look at what is probably going to happen and you plan for that. And you put all of your energy into that. And you put all of your expectations into that. So
Sound like a
why
quitter.
would
You
you...
guys are reaching for the stars, okay?
Well, no, but it's just like we're having this conversation and you're pushing me on stuff. And then I ask you what the percentage likelihood is of your scenario that you're pushing for people to put all their eggs in that basket. And you're like, well, I don't
I'm not saying to
know.
put all your eggs in that basket. When did I say that?
Yeah,
I'm saying reach for the
I would
stars,
say the
man.
chance of
Don't
what
hold
I
yourself
want to
back.
happen is probably like fucking 5%, maybe less than 10% for sure. Yeah, I already
Yeah.
acknowledge that.
But so,
Okay,
doesn't matter.
but that's what...
Aim high.
Sure. But what are you going to do otherwise?
Govern as normal. Do whatever you want to do. Carry
Yep.
on.
Like like this conversation is like for whatever, you know, whatever the fuck else this conversation is, like it's about political realities, right? Like if you don't have the amount of Democratic senators you need to do it, you don't get to just impeach all the Republicans. If you don't have as many so if we only have fucking 49 Democratic senators or 50 or whatever, you can't do what I'm suggesting. So then what you just do what you can.
And
right?
that's...
You do what
That
you do
is
have the
the
votes to do.
entire point of what it is that I'm saying, is that people are not living in reality. People are wanting vengeance against Republican voters. They're wanting vengeance against the administration. And they should, okay? They should want those things.
Yeah.
But people in like the vast majority of the people that I interact with, again, this is all centered around conversations that I have had on the subreddit with people that I believe are more knowledgeable about politics than, you know, anybody off the street. You guys are in the world where, like Destiny said, it's a 5% chance. And he can live with it being in the 95%. Whereas other people, I don't feel like can. And so when a majority of our energy is put on these things instead of something that is more realistic and what we should be expecting, and you get people to believe in the things that we should be expecting, the things that we should push for, and, you know, we can aim for the stars, and, you know, someday you'll be a track star, and that's why we're going to go out running when we're in junior high, and like all these kind of things. But like a parent doesn't set their child up for them to become an NFL legend.
Why can't we aim
You know,
high? Trump literally set them up to say that they won the
the
election in 2020 all the way up to it, and then even after it, and they still held on to their hope. They said they were going to win 65 court cases. They said the Kraken was going to come through. People thought that Q was going to show up with Elvis Presley and Reagan and JFK at a gas station, and that people thought
and
all
they
sorts
didn't. They didn't do any of those things, and they live in delusion. And what I'm saying is that you're setting people up to live in delusion.
I don't know how
Is what I feel like is
No.
happening.
Okay. I mean, that would be possible if I was saying there's like a high chance of... I'm just saying we should push for accountability. I think it's fine. If people have other accountability mechanisms, I'm okay with that too. But it can't be...
We should push for accountability. But people that think that we should strip federal funding from Republican voters that voted against their own interests, like these kind of things are just things that we shouldn't even humor.
Well,
it's not
Trump has
gonna
already
happen.
done that though, hasn't he? Hasn't Trump already blocked FEMA funding for states that he doesn't like? Yes. Hasn't Trump already attacked Mamdani, saying that he would try to withhold federal funds from New York City because he doesn't like Mamdani?
Okay, but again, we're morally better than these people. We're not going to strip funding
Yeah, but we
for
can't
Medicaid
govern.
from Wyoming.
I submit as a priori, you cannot co-govern with people that don't have the same level of moral agency as you. Those people should be stripped of their vote, maybe citizenship, and put on an island somewhere. You can't operate that way. The American democratic system is built around the core concept that one person is one vote, and all of us have shared agency and shared responsibility for governance. It cannot be that half don't have that responsibility. That's ungovernable, I think.
It's also very easy to do that one. Is just, hey, if there's a government bill that gives a benefit to some people, if your senator doesn't vote yes on it, then you don't get that. Simple as.
Yeah, but sure, that's a way to hold people accountable for what it is that they're doing. But it's not some way that, like, I don't think that the answer to Trump holding FEMA funding is for us to do something equivalent to that in a way that is, whether it's like extrajudicial or however it is that we go about doing it, isn't the way to.
That's not the same thing, though, right? If Democrats were to do it to Republicans for that wouldn't be the same as what Trump's doing. Because Trump's doing it because they shit on him. Democrats would be doing it because They voted to destroy the fucking country.
They didn't vote to destroy. That goes back to what I said very early on.
You voted for the Jan 6 guy.
No, yes, you voted for the Jan 6 guy. Did you vote for everything that Trump is doing right now? Did you think when you were putting in your ballot that he was going to do everything that he is doing right now?
And I'll say again what I said when you asked before. Ignorance is not an excuse. You don't just get to, oh, well, I didn't know, though.
Can you point me to the speech?
People were telling you. Everyone was telling you. You should have known.
All of ICE, and they're going to go in unmarked vehicles, and they're going to pull any brown person off of the street.
Yeah, that's what, I don't know if you remember, Hobbitfollower, that's what every Democrat was telling these people back in 2012. That's what Kamala Harris was telling people on her campaign. Everybody knew that this was going to happen. None of this is fucking surprising. Retard Republicans' heads and telling them that they need to fucking vote for Trump. They chose to vote for Trump. If it was because of ignorance, then they're retarded.
Well,
it doesn't excuse it.
I don't know. I guess I don't. I understand everything that you guys are saying, and I agree, and I know exactly how you get there and everything. But in the real world, people don't watch Trump's speeches. People don't watch Kamala going against Trump. A lot of people didn't watch the debate. There's all of these different things that they hear these snippets or whatever it is, or they go onto a campaign website or they read a brochure.
Then maybe they shouldn't have voted if they didn't know any of these things.
Well, all right.
Is that a crazy thing to say? Hey, maybe if you didn't know shit about the fucking consequences of your actions, maybe you shouldn't have taken that action.
No, because I'm telling you that I don't know. There's no way that you get to the position that you're at where you think that, oh, well, maybe they shouldn't have just done this, and then that can just be the end of it. You're telling people that they shouldn't vote if they're not knowledgeable on topics.
If you're not informed, if you're uninformed, you shouldn't.
And
vote.
Most people shouldn't vote for fucking Democrats that vote for Democrats because maybe they're voting for them for some other nebulous reason.
Most people shouldn't vote. Okay, and do you think I'm going to disagree? Yeah, most people shouldn't vote. Lucky for me, though. If you got rid of all the uninformed voters, Democrats would always win. So,
they would. But I guess I don't know where I can go with this. I guess my whole point is that I think as much as we want to talk about what that shoot for the stars scenario, we should also be talking about how we can hold people accountable, what we should be doing politically to, get people out of office that did support Trump or stood by while these things are happening. We have 3 more years of this. And the idea that we're just going to not, these are things that people should be campaigning on in 2026 and then 2028. And when you're putting out, the equivalent of like Pizza Hut in the school cafeteria for your ideas, it's great, but you're also putting expectations really, really high for people on things that probably aren't going to happen. And so I guess I just don't see the point in putting so much effort into those things that aren't going to happen.
The proposal is very simple, okay? I'll give this, okay? If you are running for Senate in 2026, your proposal should be, hey, if there is enough of a majority to impeach every fucking Republican that's supporting this shit, then you do it. That's what they should fucking run on. If there's enough people, you do it. And this does happen, if where presidents will run, and if this bill comes across my desk, I will sign it. That's what you should do for senators. Hey, if the fucking impeachment vote was happening to get rid of fucking John Thune, would you do it? And you better answer yes. That's what I think.
Okay. I mean,
and that's it. Maybe it doesn't happen, but everybody should be prepared for if it happens. Because what I wouldn't want, Hobbit, is for there to be 55 or 60 Democrats in the fucking Senate, and then a bunch of them are like fucking John Fettermans and don't want to do shit. That's worst case scenario, right? Not worst case, but
Yeah, I don't know how feasible it is, and so I guess just how my mind works, I don't humor that kind of stuff that much because it doesn't make any sense for me to do that. And so we can say that, hey, we need to hold these people accountable, and what if you want to run on impeaching senators, it just, I don't know, It's just one of those situations where we're talking about a hypothetical situation, and for some reason, everything that you have has like plot armor, and that we should push for it. And I agree that these people need to have these things.
Well, I think
There's
the
no plot armor.
frustration is
hypothetical.
that you're accusing us of having hypothetical plot armor, but Republicans have real life plot armor. And that's the frustration. Like, again, in the real world, you do not co-lead with somebody who doesn't have the same level of agency and accountability as you. That person's just kicked out of the leadership position, full stop. You don't participate with them because they can't. Because if somebody's not capable of having responsibility for their decisions or making the same decisions that you can, then they don't get to partake at the same level that you do. That's how it is in every single sector of society, whether you're talking age, CEO versus manager versus supervisor versus employee, whether you're talking about somebody with certain privileges like being able to drive or not, you don't co-govern, you don't co-lead with somebody with less agency and less responsibility as you. But for some reason, for governance, that's supposed to be different, and that's just an unacceptable scenario, but for some reason they have the plot armor in real life to allow them to get away with that.
So that's why I asked you, when you have people that are starting to turn on Trump and actively speak out against him. So right now we need
Marjorie Taylor Greene. One. That's one.
Well, it doesn't matter, even if all of them do. It doesn't matter, even if all of them do. Even if all of them do. What about it? It's too late now. You missed the time to be moral. That's how it works. I mean, like, again, and conservatives are the ones that are the toughest on this fucking, morality character shit. But like at some point, like, you lose the ability, like, to take the moral action. You can take a more moral action, but you're already squarely in the like completely fucked up realm.
But that's what I'm saying, is that we should be pushing for people to take the moral action, and then, whatever dream scenario you guys want to have, you can have that.
It's not about dream scenario, but like if somebody's in the middle of raping somebody and you're like, okay, well, like, can you please stop raping them? And you're like, okay, well, I'll stop. I won't finish. I'll half rape them, but you're not going to hold me accountable for half raping them, right? Like, would you say yes in that circumstance? Because that's basically what we're saying we have to do.
Obviously, I would not say that somebody can get away with half rape.
Okay, why half rape of the country?
I am an avid half rape againster.
Yeah, but what's the difference between that? What's the difference between that and what we're talking about right now with the country?
Because again, I think that people are in a situation where they feel like whatever is bringing them to not say anything, whether it's out of fear or just, I don't know, being just a dipshit that allows this stuff to happen. I think that if at a certain point they say, okay, this can't continue, that,
Here's what I would say. I would actually, I would actually just definitionally win this debate, because what I would say is the only genuine way to show that you've understood the consequences of everything you've done is to abdicate all future office. Mm-hmm. That would be the only way to do it. Is if a person is saying, listen, here are all the reasons why I did all these bad things, that has to be paired with that. And this is why I'm just not the man for the job. And if you're not willing to say the second thing, then you don't mean the first thing. That's what I would say.
And that's what happens. And that's where everybody that's spoken out against Trump stops running for office.
But you're cool
and so
with
they
speak out against Trump, but they stay in office.
Do you think that I'm cool with it?
No, when he says cool, he means no.
You really not want Democrats to try to impeach him.
No, I'm saying that I don't think that it's going to happen, so why would I humor the situation? If it happens and they have the majorities and we get all these things, then sure, go ahead and push for it.
That's all. No, you vouched for it before.
Okay, we're looping hard. Give me your final thoughts, both.
Yes, we are. People. We are. Okay, regardless, in this situation, I do believe that people need to understand that there's different levels of responsibility that people have in their support for Trump. I do agree that people that are in Congress that are abdicating their responsibility should be held accountable for it. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know what we can do that is realistic. And if the best that we can do is to just hammer these people in elections and get them out of office that way, then that's fine. I think that people in society need to understand that most people aren't doing that. They're not actively encouraging Trump to continue what it is that he's doing, and they're just citizens. They can't change anything. Just as much as we think that they should speak out against this stuff, like we do, when they start to speak out, that's good. That's the amount of power that they have. We can't expect people that voted for Trump to all of a sudden go and take ICE down by themselves. It's just not a realistic thing that's going to happen. And at the end of all of this, we need to be able to live side by side with people and
Sure, that's fine.
let them say
okay.
I fucked up.
Sure, I can take that. That's fine. But that has to be paired with an absolute and a total repeal of the Second Amendment then. And I don't ever want to hear a single one of these people talk about standing up to the government using firearms ever again. They can't have both positions.
Destiny,
so if you want to pair with that, then that's fine.
amendment.
But I can't hear the blood refreshing the Tree of Liberty and all of these unbelievably LARPy positions if they can't say like, hey, maybe it's not okay for masked men to jump out of cars and throw people into the backs of them because they're brown. That you don't get to have it all.
What do you
Okay,
mean by that? You think that these people should be?
Yeah, you don't get guns. You don't have agency. When you don't want the responsibility for your actions because you don't have the agency to make the right choice, then you lose your privileges.
But again, you're not doing it as well. So I don't want to Fed post and say a bunch of shit, but neither are you.
Neither am I what?
So
I'm
that's
speaking
the
out against the
thing.
administration. I'm not saying you have to go and kill people. I'm just saying if you don't have the courage to change the way you vote.
No, that's what I'm saying. What if these people do?
They
and
did
don't
it. They voted for
support
Trump a
this
second
stuff? Like,
time. A third time.
I understand that they did that. What I'm saying is that the normal citizenry doesn't have much power. We have the power to protest things, and the people that do turn against Trump or say that what he's doing is wrong, like that is the acceptable thing for a citizen.
Sure. Okay.
We
here,
should
Hobbit,
hold people
this is your job. Okay. I want you to find me some average Trump voters and bring them on, and I'll chat with them. Okay. I'm just curious how they would respond. Okay. That's what I want to hear.
I mean, I can.
Yeah, no, I'm serious.
I
won't
with
be an
a couple,
asshole or whatever.
so-
I'd be curious. I just really want to. The question, and you can even prep them ahead of time. The question I want to ask is like, convince me as somebody who's felt like they've been under constant, condescending, patronizing, vitriolic attack from your side. Convince me to show grace, and that's all I want to hear. I'm just curious what their answer would be. How would they do that?
Well, what if they give you the answer that they don't support that kind of stuff that Trump is doing?
Then I would ask them why they voted for it.
Well, but that that's going to be the answer.
That's fine.
is
But then I would
that
ask
them doing
sure,
it.
that's fine. Then I would say, why do you have the right to vote? Why should you be allowed to vote?
Because they're an American citizen.
Why should that be enough?
If that's the answer, then I could be retributive because I'm an American citizen. If we're going to go down to that baseline of thing, then sure. Then I would say, okay, fine. Then that's where we're at.
But that just, you said that we should strip those people their Second Amendment right, and that just as much as those people aren't using their Second Amendment right to go against Trump, neither are we. So,
No. It's not about that. I'm saying that these people were saying that the reason why we have the Second Amendment is to fight against a corrupt government. But these guys won't even vote against a corrupt government. So why the fuck are you telling me you need guns to fight against a corrupt government? You don't need the guns. You're obviously not going to use them if you're not even willing to vote or post on social media that you don't support them. Why would you think you'd fight the government with your guns? That's all I'm saying.
But yeah, but this just goes back to where people, and I don't know how you have these positions when you talk to people that constantly say like, oh, well, we saw what he did in the first term. What about the people that just voted for Trump because they thought it would be more of what the first term was?
Then what? I just don't know how. Like at the end of the day, the only position that you're arguing me towards is that like democracy in the United States has failed. That the average voter can't be expected to know anything. That when the RNC has a conference with Donald Trump and everybody is holding up signs saying mass deportation now, I'm just supposed to expect the average citizen to be totally clued out, to have no concept of what the president wants to do, to not know anything. And in that case, like at that point, I don't even want to say I'm pro-oligarchy because apparently the rich people in America are fucking retards, or at least the crypto finance bros are. So I don't know. I'd move somewhere else or do something else. But at that point, like the system has failed, or we need IQ or some other type of testing. God, I don't give a fuck who can or can't vote at that point. But like something is fundamentally broken at that point. And I think they would agree that there would be a reckoning there where it's like, okay, yeah, fuck, maybe we should have to know the bare minimum amount of our country in order to actually vote for, whatever. Like,
and so maybe that's what you should be pushing for, is because that is where I'm at, is where I think you can't expect these things of people. So what are you going to do in that situation?
I disagree, though. I think we can expect it. We just have to culturally push for it. People know a surprising amount of stuff when you get to like really fucking stupid areas of knowledge, right? Like my mom apparently doesn't know fucking anything about the horrible shit the Trump admin does, but she could probably tell you the fucking chemical makeup of ivermectin, or can tell you every single random person. I know so much random shit about like the Weather Underground and Bill Ayers, or all these like terrorists that supposedly Obama was talking to all day. Like conservatives consume so much media. These guys are PhDs when it comes to disinformation. They could give you every single talking point that Dmitry cooked up in his shitty little Kremlin air-conditioned room. Like, so they know stuff and they can learn stuff, but they choose not to for some reason, and that's what would have to be pushed against. If they were literally just retards walking the street, like, what do you think about Trump? Like, then it's like, okay, fuck, I guess, whatever. It's a coin flip who this guy votes for. But when it feels like so many people can rattle off just like all these talking points, like, and even if they don't know, like in the weeds 100%, oh, Trump's bringing back all the manufacturing, or he's like trying to get countries to stop scamming. It's like, well, do you even know what that means? It's like, well, no. Then why are you voting? Just don't. Like, we don't need your voice in politics if you're not going to take some time to cultivate it, which would be true in every single other circumstance in life. In every other area in life, you would look to informed leadership. You would look to people that know what they're doing. You would never say one person, one vote when 90% of the people don't know what the fuck is going on. You would just never do that.
Well, and that's why I would advocate for, like, you know, different, I don't know if it would be regulations or anything on media and stuff like that that cause people to be in the positions that they're in.
Sure. And so I think I'd be okay with that, but that would have to start with Republicans acknowledging that they're brainwashed. But that's about as politically possible as my forbidding from holding future office idea.
True.
Maybe, but I'm gonna start driving home and sit in a fucking parking lot at work this whole time. So
I love everybody. Be careful.
Yeah, yeah, I love you both. Okay.
Yeah,
especially ZipZip. I need to figure out. Okay, actually, I'm gonna put this out into the ether. Anybody that is permanently banned, from the subreddit.
Yes.
Anybody whatsoever that is permanently banned from the subreddit, and you have gone into mod mail and we have told you to fuck off,
Jesus.
You have a chance to send in a mod mail, and you need to say, I plan on appealing this ban one more time, and we are going to do it on 45. Yeah, and it needs to be good, okay? None of these fucking one-line bullshit, okay?
I want all the Mr. Girl supporters, want the empath chants, I want all the people, yes.
Yeah, bring me all the people that called Destiny a sex pest over and over and over again and got banned. Bring all of those people, because I want to do ban appeals, but we appeal people in a more efficient way. So if you are super fucked in the subreddit, please put in a ban appeal if you want to be on ZipZip's or read off on ZipZip's stream for their ban appeal shit. And then Destiny, real quick, we're talking about changing some of the rules in the subreddit. How do you feel about AI posting, real quick, before I go?
How do I feel about AI posting? What do you mean by that?
Like people who just like post like, oh, look at what I asked ChatGPT today. Is Destiny a woman's name? Like I'm thinking about just making that a rule that like low effort AI posts are.
Let them post it for now and get upvoted, downvoted accordingly. And then if we feel like it's an issue, then we'll address it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. All right. Love you guys.
I'm sure democracy will work in that case. All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
So the thing I keep thinking about is, was it worth it to be happy for a little bit? Even though it ended up sad? Or would it have been better if the whole thing never happened?